Hello, Internet. It's me, Brandon Hart, the ECOstruder. Did that work? That would be so cool if that worked. Hi, it's Brandon Hart, the ECOstruder, in case that previous part didn't really work out. Yeah, we're here once again, and we're gonna keep going on the Modix 3D BIG-60 3D printer kit. Let's see, where did we leave off last time? We had figured out that the Z-profile aluminum extrusions, these 4 legs here, were not the right size. In fact, they were all 4 different sizes. So that was a problem, but fortunately I was able to shoot off an email to the folks at Modix 3D. They were extremely responsive and sent out replacement parts immediately. So that's what is in here. The internet loves unboxings, so why not? We'll unbox the replacement parts before we continue on with the rest of the 3D printer build. So yeah, let's see. Thoughts up to this point. I like the way the machine itself goes together. These 40/40 extrusions are very sturdy and real nice. So far so good. The linear rails are awesome. I think those are going to be really nice to have on both the X, which is what's up here now, and the Y when we get that hooked up. These ball screws are fantastic for the Z. So that's X, Y, and Z right there. So the mechanical portion of this design I think is quite good, you know, the rest remains to be seen. So anyway, let's unbox this, and then from there we'll kind of get into the rest of the build. Sound good? Right on. Here we go. Okay. So we've got our extrusions. And surprisingly, I wasn't really expecting this, but I also got replacement smooth rods. I had actually complained about the way that these smooth rods were cut. I didn't really talk about that on the video here much, but I'll show a picture here so you can see what I'm talking about. The smooth rods were cut quite jaggedly, and they were not the same length and things like that. These have been ground down, and some care has been taken to ensure that they are all the same length and are cut straight. So that's nice, a little extra TLC on the smooth rod, so I appreciate that. That said, there are some spots on the rods here. Looks like a little bit of rust actually on them. Hopefully that's not a big deal, but I do notice that they don't have the same grease, the protective grease that you get a lot of times on some of the packaging and on what we've got on the other ones that came directly with the whole kit itself. So that's probably why there's some of that corrosion on there, but hopefully not a problem, so we'll see. There we go, unboxed. I'll put these with the rest of them. So here's another interesting point. In the extrusions that I got directly from Modix 3D, 2 of them already have the protective plastic removed from the extrusions themselves. So no chips, nothing like that. Just the actual 40/40 profiles here. The third, however, still has the plastic on there that I've talked about before. So it'll be interesting, I guess, to compare kind of how the 2 look next to each other. The kind with the protective plastic and all the aluminum chips in it, and the kind that doesn't have the protective plastic and therefore doesn't come with nearly as many chips. But probably should be wearing shoes. of all the aluminum chips, but yeah, it's only one profile, we'll be okay. One thing I'm curious about, yeah, okay, so these that came directly from Modix actually are a little bit different in the way that they are drilled. In fact, this one's not going to work. It's missing the holes in the top. Shoot. Let me show you what I mean. So, all of these come with these holes in the top here so that you can get the fasteners through, and that's the part that goes up at the top end here so that everything lines up with the screws. This one though has the hole in the bottom, which is good, but it doesn't have the holes in the top. There are no holes in the top there, so that's not going to work. Man, I just can't seem to win here. Well, I think I don't want to delay anymore, so I am just going to go ahead and replace the two that are the shortest. I believe these were supposed to be 735. Yeah, so they're supposed to be 935 millimeters. When I measured them last time, one was 935, one was almost just barely 935, so those are the two I'll go ahead and keep. I don't know which ones they are, I'll have to figure that out. And then we had some that were, a couple that were just really short. Like one was 931, or maybe 931 and a half, and then one was 933. So those two we'll replace with these two, and then that other one I just won't use. So I think that'll be okay. They're not going to be too far off, and we can make some minor adjustments with the feet and things like that. So hopefully that doesn't throw things off too much, but I would rather just keep going, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, let's see. Ooh. Let's see if they're all the same size now. Good. All right. So, at least now they're all 934 and a half to 935. So that's close enough. I think that'll work. Sweet. So, now let's make some progress. Okay. All right. For those of you following along at home, I am picking up at part 1, step 10, assembling the Z-axis sets. So, that is where we're going to pick things up here. I'm going to try to follow the instructions a little bit better than I did last time. As well. I think I got a little excited and a little ahead of myself last time, so this time I'll try to actually stick with the instructions. Okay, and with that, we are officially further than we were at the end of last time before I had to pull everything apart again. This is the end of step 10, and it looks really nice. This is gonna be sweet. So I'm excited to move on to step 11, and I'll do that in just a minute. Okay, well, had some technical difficulties there yesterday, but we're back. I believe everything is sorted, and so now I'm going to pick up where I left off. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about and kind of show you here was this shaft, this X-axis shaft. I'm not sure what the actual name of it is. I should probably check. But it at least appears to be, anyway, too long. For the frame that it's in, it seems to be too long. And I'm going to see if I can show this to you here, but basically this part is actually a little bit more than flush. It's a little bit proud of the bracket here on that rod. And then if we look at the other side here, it's sticking quite a bit out from that bracket. So that's the issue that I'm talking about. My guess, and I could be wrong, but my guess is that when I go to put the panels on, that's going to stick up and be in the way. I had to adjust all the pillow bearings here and slide the rod back and forth just to get the bearings themselves to line up with the brackets. So I don't think that was the cause of the issues, but we'll have to see. And for now, I'm just going to keep going, hoping that that doesn't cause any problems. But you know, everything seems to be very flush. They've even got screws in here that are conical, so they can be countersunk. They're different from all the other screws that are on the inside that actually stick out a little bit more, because I assume they want it to be flush, but with that rod sticking out there, it's definitely not. So we'll see how that works out, but wanted to draw your attention to that here before we get too much deeper. All right. And by the way, if you ever noticed the printer sort of rocking back and forth a little bit, that is due to the fact that my floor is not at all level. There are all sorts of high and low spots all over the place. Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but during the course of the build, there have been a few times where I started working with a nut and ended up tossing it to the side, and that is because some of these M5 nuts don't seem to be threaded properly. They don't fit onto the M5 screws. And I struggled with them for a little while, and then I just try a different nut and it works perfectly with a different nut. So it does indeed seem to be bad threads on the M5 nuts. I've come across 2, maybe 3 of them so far, so hopefully there aren't too many more than that, but there were some spare parts that were included, so hopefully we're covered on the M5 nuts with those. But okay, enough of me blabbering. I will continue on here with the build. So smooth. All right, well, looking pretty good. I'm up to part 1, step 16 now, about to install the second X-axis timing belt. Or I guess the first X-axis timing belt. So this is the Y right here. But anyway, I am, I don't know, I'm liking it. I'm pretty pleased so far. It's looking good. The linear rail here, when I was first messing with it, seemed like there was some catching that was happening, but once I tightened some things up, that started to go away. So I'll have to keep a close eye on that, but otherwise it seems to be looking pretty good. I continue to love these ball screws. The motor connections down here are just really, really nice with the little belts. yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about it right now. It's just it's looking good, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. So let's hope that things keep going. Gonna take a little bit of break, come back in a little bit, and keep going. Hey everybody, wanted to talk real quick about something I decided to do. These are the feet that actually come with the printer kit. They have an M8 threaded stem here basically that goes into the bottom side of the aluminum extrusions. So I went online and I bought these. I wanted to put this thing on wheels, particularly while I'm building it, because I want to be able to show you things, and the aluminum extrusions are cut, you know, flat and sharp. And so I don't want to mess up this floor. It's a brand new floor I put in a little while ago, so I don't really want to mess it up. So my thought is that I'm going to put these wheels on and be able to move it around while I'm assembling it. But I'm thinking about keeping them on. We'll see how they work, but I'm thinking about keeping them on for actually using the machine. I don't know about that idea because I don't, you know, there's just a little bit of thread that's going to go in this thing, you know, versus the original foot where there's quite a bit. This seems like this would be more stable. This seems like this would, you know, it's meant to be stationary, so this thing would actually stay exactly where you put the thing. So I don't know. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, I guess. Should I keep these wheels on in the final build, or should I replace them with the feet that they're supposed to be used with? Let me know your thoughts. But in the meantime, I'm going to put these wheels on right now. Well, there it is. I gotta say, that's pretty nice. Unless I have a good reason to think that these are not going to be structurally a good idea, I think I might keep those like that. This is really, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. All right, so let's get on. More belts. Here we go. Nice and loose. Okay, well, here's the single extruder, the direct drive, well, geared drive extruder right here. The only problem is this step told me to get out 4 of these M5 8mm screws, and I only used 2 of them, so I always get a little nervous when I've got extra screws, but I've double checked it and I think I only needed 2. So I'm not sure why it had me get out 4, but yeah, that's the situation there. The other thing is it's a little odd that these stick out the front, but I suppose I can bring them off to the side or something when we get to that part. From what I can tell, I've done it correctly according to the drawings and everything I've got here. The 3-dimensional models do not include the wires. They don't include any fasteners, bolts, screws, things like that. They also, when I really wanted to know which side the stepper motor wiring harness should come out, that's not in the 3-dimensional preview as well. So I love having that, but the times I've wanted to use it are to check things like the orientation of where this wiring harness should go, and it's that kind of detail is not included in it, which is unfortunate. But otherwise, I mean, that's pretty cool. This blower fan, I like the design of having the squirrel cage fan kind of pointed right down at the nozzle, but it is a very small hole, and these things tend to put out a lot of air. On my G-Max 3D printer that I had previously, it had a similar design, and I couldn't run that fan more than about 20-25% before the heater cartridge, the heater block, just could not keep up, and I would get into a thermal runaway situation. So a little bit concerned about that. I don't want it to blow the plastic too much, I just want it to cool it off. It also only comes in from one side. And now I'm going to set this up as a dual extruder, so you know, maybe there'll be another part cooling fan coming in from the other direction. That would be nice, but we'll have to see how well this works out. I'm already thinking about ways that I could redesign this shroud to go around the nozzle rather than just pointed directly at it from one side. But there we go. There's the extruder. So interestingly, those leftover, they called them M5 last time. I'm pretty sure these are M4. Actually, let me double check that real quick. Yeah, these are M4. So my bad. But interestingly, the 2 leftover M4 8mm screws from the last step are now being used in the next step. So step 20, install the inductive bed leveling sensor, uses those same leftover screws. Now it tells you to get them out again, but I think that was just a miswriting, misinstruction, whatever, little miss oops. And so I'm just going to keep the same ones that I had out last time and not put them away and use them here. there we have it. This is the end of part 1 in the instructions. Obviously this is like part 3, I think, in the video series for the build. I had to take a few breaks here and there to do other stuff in my life, but otherwise, yeah, here's how it's looking. So this is, I've been having trouble keeping the front and the back straight. So that's been causing me issues, and so a lot of the instructions that say, you know, on the back do this and on the front do this, I haven't been real clear as far as what the front and what the back has been. Now it is much easier to tell. So obviously this is the front, and then this with the electronics box will be the back. So yeah, some interesting thoughts. First of all, this cable chain seems way too long. I did count the chain links. It told me to do that at the beginning, and this is 37 links. But I mean, that just seems very, very long for the amount of motion it has to, you know, handle. You know, it's just, I mean, why be that long? On the other hand, this one, I'm going to try to tilt this whole thing here. But on the other hand, this one actually seems to be a little short. So it doesn't want to go all the way here to the edge. It wants to stop right there because that's as short as the cable chain gets. So I don't know, I might be, we'll see how things work. Right now I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. So I haven't done anything yet, but I might actually end up having to pull a couple of links off that one and put them on this one to compensate for that. So yeah, we'll see if that ends up being a problem or not. I really like these wheels. I don't know, I mean, they're certainly not part of the kit. I don't know whether they're a good idea to have on there, but man, I mean, just being able to do this is pretty awesome. So I do like that. Let's see, what other thoughts? Everything's getting real tight, which is good. I want that, but you know, I can't help enjoying the previous free motion that this thing had, and now it being, you know, real kind of tight and harder to move. Same thing here. Both X and Y are much harder to move. It makes sense because we've got rather large motors here, stepper motors. So there should be, you know, a good amount of friction there that's holding that together. Man, what else to say? What else to say? A couple of parts in the instructions were a bit of an issue. So I'll leave some notes, and I'm sure we'll get feedback from Modix 3D on those. You know, I gotta be honest, I wish this wasn't just sort of the standard fare discount rep wrap LCD. Kind of wish it was, you know, bigger and touchscreen maybe, like a lot of the other machines have. But honestly, it's the same screen that most of my other machines have right now, so I'll have no problem getting through the menus, I'm sure. But you know, sort of would be nice to have a little nicer screen on it. Yeah, other than that, I think everything is going rather well. You know, as we get into part 2 here, and actually putting on the build plate and connecting up some of the electronics and things like that, I think things will get a little bit more interesting. And we'll start to see how a lot of this stuff comes together, but this really looks like something. You know, that's really pretty cool having that in there, and I just like how it's coming together. It's still fun to get inside my 3D printer. The fact that I can still do that is pretty incredible. Again, once I put the build plate on there, I think that'll be a little bit less possible. But yeah, I mean, the fact that it's so big that, you know, I'm not a small guy. I'm 6'4", and I can get inside the 3D printer. It's just funny. It's just funny. Yeah. So there we go. I'm looking forward to part 2 of the instructions, part 4 of the build, and kind of tackling what comes next. So, thank you very much for watching. You do want to subscribe, so if you enjoyed watching this, you got to this point in the video, you're probably going to want to subscribe so you see the next part 4 in the build series. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope it's part 4. And obviously, when we get to the end and I'll start doing some of the tuning and dialing it in and getting print results and testing and stuff like that, that'll be really interesting, I think, for a lot of people too. So with that, subscribe, leave comments as to what you think about the machine, what you think about my building. I've certainly made my fair share of mistakes here, so feel free to call me out on that. But ring the bell, get notified when new episodes are posted. Yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hello, Internet. It's me, Brandon Hart, the ECOstruder.